personally, and like I said, of all the cast to get blown up on after, it's like yesterday was probably not the day. But overall, those were some good shows.
I thought they were good shows too. The content-wise, it's good.
And in content-wise and production-wise, overall, those were pretty clean shows. There were a few little things to do, especially when you had a rookie director out here. I thought he did pretty well. I don't have a report, but I think so too, but I think overall he did pretty well.
Yeah,
especially since they pulled up the wrong show in his iPad for him.
Well, I was complimenting
Five, four, three, two, one. Coming up on WGXA News at 10, a Warner Robins cold case is solved, at least they believe, after the 25 years after a double murder.
Plus, after almost 3 years in the Bibb County Jail, admitted killer Stephen McDaniel is moved out of Macon just 1 day after spilling the details of Lauren Giddings' murder.
And after $50 million were misspent, new Bibb school candidates are using the mistake to their advantage. Don't go away.
WGXA News at 10 is next.
check, check. Good evening, everyone. I'm WGXA's Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox. We spent the afternoon and evening tracking showers along with a few thunderstorms, but tonight all that mess getting out of here, and it's back to a clearing sky and sunshine for tomorrow. A pretty nice evening around the area, a little muggy, but as this cold front moves through, we'll get some drier air in for tomorrow. Latest satellite and radar showing all of that rain activity getting out of here. Ignore this green, that's radar junk on the map tonight. The actual precipitation long gone, and as you can see, the satellite clearing out as well. So the rest of your evening looks like this, hour by hour. We're in the low 60s right now, mid 60s as you go south, but all rain cooled from the 70s and 80s this afternoon. I think eventually we sneak into the upper 50s for overnight lows, and we're back in the low 70s with sunshine by lunchtime tomorrow. A big warm-up headed our way, plus today wasn't the only rain chance on the 7-day. We'll have details on the next time you'll need your umbrella in 10 minutes, but the news starts right now.
Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
Good evening and thanks for watching WGXA News at 10. I'm Amir Jacobson.
And I'm Raymond Tubb.
Well, it's been a mystery for 25 years, but now the Houston County District Attorney says that the suspected murderer of two Warner Robins men has been identified.
WGXA's Chase Ambrose explains.
On March 26, 1989, 36-year-old James Runyon and 37-year-old Daniel Easler were found dead in a wood shop behind a home in the 200 block of Sunset Drive in Warner Robins. They'd been shot a number of times. And now, 25 years after those shootings, the suspected killer has now been indicted.
The case was presented earlier today to a Houston County grand jury, and they did return an indictment, a true bill of indictment, on James Milton Hapholt.
Hapholt, now 60 years old, was living in Middle Georgia at the time of the shootings. He's now an inmate with the Georgia Department of Corrections, serving time for the 1994 shooting death of his ex-wife. He now faces 2 counts each of malice murder and felony murder in the deaths of Runyon and Easler. The district attorney didn't elaborate on the evidence of the case, saying only that the majority of the evidence was gathered during the initial investigation. When asked why an indictment hadn't been carried out before, the district attorney refused to speculate.
You know, I don't want to look back to previous DA administrations. As the chief said, this was a fairly thorough investigation back when these crimes occurred. And why the case wasn't indicted early, I really don't know that.
Hapholt will be transferred from the Coffee County Prison to Houston County for his arraignment and trial. Chase Ambrose, WGXA.
Hapholt's 1994 conviction in the murder of his ex-wife was upheld by the Georgia Supreme Court in 1996. Well, just one day after admitting he killed and dismembered Lauren Giddings, and after nearly 3 years in the Bibb County Jail, Stephen McDaniel has been transported out of Macon. Sheriff David Davis tells WGXA that McDaniel was taken from the jail first thing this morning and moved to the Jackson Diagnostic Center about 45 minutes north of Macon. McDaniel pleaded guilty yesterday to malice murder in the killing of Giddings in the summer of 2011. After writing a description of how Giddings was killed and how he disposed of her body parts, he was sentenced to life in prison. Prosecutors and defense attorneys agreed that McDaniel likely will never be released.
Well, earlier in our 5 o'clock newscast, we asked you, should the Bibb County District Attorney's Office have cut a deal that spared Stephen McDaniel from execution? 32% of you said yes, 68% of you said no. Thanks for your feedback. You can find our web poll question on our website at WGXA.TV. Well, the Georgia Supreme Court upheld the conviction of a Central Georgia woman who gunned down her husband. Last year, a Houston County jury found Ebony Passion Smith guilty of killing her husband, Brian. The Robins Airman's bullet-riddled body was found inside their Warner Robins home back in July of 2011. The Georgia Supreme Court reviewed her conviction and life sentence for the murder and allowed both to stand.
A Bibb school system audit shows more than $50 million misspent by former superintendents. Now some candidates for Bibb School Board are using the management as ammunition to propel their campaigns.
WGXA's Shadi Tager caught up with the candidates at a political forum tonight and has their message for you.
4 candidates vying for 2 seats on the Bibb County Board of Education. Speaking to a full crowd at Mulberry United Methodist Church, Post 7 candidates James Bumpus and Daryl Morton and Post 8 candidates Darren Latch and Wanda West tell voters why they're right for the job.
My commitment to this community has been demonstrated through my leadership in the SPLOST passing back in 2009.
I know how the system works. I also know what the board is there to do, which is to supervise the superintendent and make sure that we spend our money wisely.
I've been at the forefront of making sure things that should happen do happen, and if they don't, we actually get the information out there publicly.
My leadership and my experience and expertise has contributed greatly to allowing us to move forward.
Bumpus is a former school board member who was recently appointed to head the city's Small Business Affairs office, while Morton says he's been practicing law in Macon for 25 years. Post 8 incumbent Wanda West has served on the board for more than 3 years and is the former superintendent of Twiggs County Schools. Her opponent, Darren Latch, is an Australian-born insurance salesman, but says he's been active with the school board, bringing up issues with the school system's finances with a watchdog group.
All four are well aware of the recent school system audit finding more than $50 million of misspent tax money and have a plan to make sure it doesn't happen again.
There was a total disconnect between internal and external controls. And I am encouraging and have encouraged the board to begin to move forward by looking closer at policies, process, and procedures.
Work with the board members to make sure that the accountability is key, ethics and standards is key on the board, ethics enforcement as well.
You've got to tell the superintendent no when it's the right thing to do. The reason we have policies in place is to make sure things are done the right way, and if they're not, you just got to say no.
I'm a person of financial integrity and one who believes in financial accountability.
Accountability each candidate hopes to show before voters head to the polls. Shanti Tager, WGXA.
Both races are at large, meaning that they are county-wide seats. Early voting begins on April 28th, and Election Day is on May the 20th.
Well, have you ever wondered what your neighbors throughout the state really think about major political issues in Georgia?
Well, the new State of the State poll may answer some of those questions for you. About 500 randomly selected adults participated in the poll back in February, and more than half of them think that the state is moving in the right direction.
Jobs are ranked as the most important issue at 37%. Education was ranked second at 23% and healthcare at 14%. The poll also found that most Georgians think the economy will be in the same condition this time next year. 35% think it will improve. 17% think it'll get worse.
The majority of the group supports the deepening of the Savannah port and oppose public funding for professional stadiums. The poll shows that the most trusted politicians in the state are Governor Nathan Deal and former Governor Roy Barnes. But only a small 9% of people are strongly satisfied with public education. More than half said that they would be willing to pay more taxes to provide better educational opportunities for kids.
Lastly, the data shows that 41% of Georgians strongly oppose the Affordable Care Act. Only 25% are in favor.